Ujambo, Espresso Talk Today community. It's Robin here. Akwaba to the show. That means welcome to the show in the Akan language of Ghana. Yes, I'm adding another word from an African language. Why? So glad you asked. I am on a trip to Ghana right now. Yes, it's very exciting. I was greeted with the word Akwaba every day. And indeed, I did feel very welcome. So I say Akwaba to you too. Welcome to the Espresso Talk Today Real Talk Show. Remember, Real Talk is when the ETT team meets to discuss a certain topic or experience. We decided to add one Real Talk podcast show every month so that we can get real with each other and with you. Of course, we're always real with you. But the Real Talk show allows us to discuss issues like Black miseducation or racial battle fatigue, and one of those was the topic from April. It gives us space to discuss issues that were presented by experts. It's great, absolutely great, to have experts on the show, and we're really grateful for their participation. But then we want to discuss these issues together with each other and with you. So that's what we're doing today. I know I promised that the May Real Talk show would be about Dr. Ebony's My Therapy Cards. The Espresso Talk Today team would use and discuss Dr. Ebony's My Therapy Cards during the show and discuss our thoughts about the cards and how they work. Very exciting. Bad news. We're not going to discuss Dr. Ebony's My Therapy Cards today. I promise we will discuss them on our next Real Talk show. However, something really special happened today, and the Espresso Talk Today team wants to hold a real talk about that. What was that something special? We attended a naming ceremony. As I said, we are in Ghana for the month of May. After receiving a big akwaba, we were then invited to participate in a naming ceremony. Oftentimes, these ceremonies will happen 8 days after a baby is born, but we did it as adults. But Ghana is welcoming back Black people whose ancestors have been kidnapped and sold into slavery. So Black people from all over the world, from the diaspora, are returning to Ghana or visiting Ghana as part of learning about our history and honoring our ancestors. The naming ceremony is one part of this pilgrimage or Hajj to learn more about our ancestral roots. Since we participated in the ceremony literally today, we decided to have a real talk about it today. We hope that you'll enjoy this real talk and join us on Instagram, Facebook, or send us an email to team@espressotalktoday.com to join this incredibly uncommon conversation or to give us comments. So I was joined with Mel today and on the show, and I was joined by my long-term friend or sister really for the naming ceremony and for this Real Talk podcast show. So now take a deep breath, relax, grab an espresso, and let's get started. Hey, Mel.
Hi, Robin. How are you?
I'm good. I'm fine. Thanks. Oh, and I see that you're there with a good friend. It's Diane, I think, huh? Hey, Diane.
Hi, Robin. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you. Well, we're all here, and I think
I
this is
think it's I think it's time for a real talk, y'all.
a real talk.
Yeah, yeah, let's get real. Let's get real. And tonight we're gonna get real about the naming ceremony in Ghana. Let's get real now.
Okay. Well, I think that's so interesting because I mean we've had a lot of experiences here in Ghana, and I think one of the I don't know, most impactful for me has been, and there have been a lot of impactful ones here, has been about names. And I saw this African proverb, and that proverb was saying, this is really good, I thought. Um, it's impossible to kill a man. I'm sorry, let me start that over. It is possible to kill a man, but impossible to kill his name. I mean, that just made me stop and think. What do you think about that? Is it true or not?
Yes, yes. I think a name carries a lot of meaning, and it should carry a lot of meaning when we're speaking about ourselves and our identity and who we are, particularly in the American culture.
Yeah, I really agree with you too on that. And I remember I saw it was a long time ago a movie about the Salem witch trials. I forgot the name of the movie. It was with Daniel Day Lewis, and they were saying, look, if you sign your name here, you will not be executed. And he just couldn't do it because he said, it's my name. I have to do whatever I can to protect my name. And so, he and it's like, wow, are names that important? But yeah, I think so. What do you think, Mel?
I think it is important. I think a name is your reputation. A name, carries, your character in the community and in the world and with yourself. So I think a name is extremely important. I think that we don't take enough care with names. So we're going to talk about that.
Well, I think that's not what we saw tonight at this naming ceremony, right? they uh they took so much care about names. Oh,
Yes, they asked for our names. They asked for the day of the week in which we were born. They asked for the year and the month and the day as well. And they took other characteristics to determine what names they would name us. And the Akana names is part of the Ghana Ghanaian culture.
well, do you? I know that you've been reading up a lot on this, Diane. Do you have some of the history of the naming ceremony?
Yes, I do. The Ghanaians believe that a name's not just accompanies a person for the rest of his or her life, but it's also a critical rite of passage. They pick very meaningful names for their children, and a lot of thinking goes into the name, just like in all other cultures around the world. And besides the meanings, Ghanaian names are also derived from their ethnic Aka names. And
Oh,
according to the rules of this ethnic group, baby names should be based on the day the child was born. They also believe that a child is born on a particular day has certain exclusive traits, which should be reflected in the name itself. The other factors that they consider is that Ghanaians also include the time and circumstances surrounding the birth, and they also include the religious views, ancestors, and the father's name. And even in
wow.
the naming conventions in Ghana, it's unique and quite unlike any other system in the world. When a baby is born, he is kept indoors for at least 7 days. And the mother can come out, but the baby cannot unless it's an emergency. The baby is named on the 8th day of their birth. So it's really a lot that's involved and very meaningful, very important on the naming ceremony and the naming of babies in Ghana, and particularly with Akan names.
Yeah,
Well,
and one of the things that we learned was that the day of the week that you come into the world, that's when your soul has chosen to be here. And that's one of the reasons it's very, very important to name a child after the day of the week they chose their soul to be here.
hmm. Well, yeah, this is really going a lot deeper than just horoscope and the month you were born or the 6 weeks in the year you were born, but the actual precise day and even the time sometimes. And well, does anybody want to share what the about their name? And I'll go first. I'll go first. How about that? I was born on a Saturday, one of my favorite days of the week, actually. And for that, I am a, a female. So my name is Amma. And then they gave me a second name to go with it, Buabasa. And they said that means that I'm a hard worker. I'm diligent. I go out and work and I come back and bring stuff back to the home and take care of the home that way as a hard worker. And when I heard that name, particularly Amma, that just really resonated with me. And I just felt like that's always been my name. It just feels very natural. And when people started calling me Amma, I'm just naturally answering to that name. Think there's really a lot to this, a lot that goes into this. Mm.
I think it's really true. And my name, I was born on a Sunday. So my name is Essay. And the second name they gave me was Tavia, because it's believed that I am kind of like a pillar of the community, very industrious. And, it's really interesting. These people who did the naming ceremony didn't know me, but it feels right, what the name represents. So I am S.A. Tavia.
Now, when I hear that Tavia part, honestly, when you said that, that makes me think of Octavia. Now, your cousin Octavia, I know who you were so close to, and I was very close to her too. She's such a wonderful woman.
Yeah, that's true because I didn't know about that until, of course, this evening when we got our names. And Tavia, I said, that's Octavia. So there's some connection there, I think, with the Ghanaian name and the naming ceremony.
And the name, yes, absolutely. Yeah, and
Yes. Oh,
go ahead.
yes. And I was given uh, the first name. I was born on a Monday, and the fact I was born on a Monday, my name is Adwa, which means girl born on Monday. But I was also given a second name, which is Nayab Meke, and that name means a gift from God.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
They also identified because I am a twin. They said that my twin sister will not be the same name, but because I'm the second born and the youngest of the twins, they actually added another name, which I'll have to find and share with you later. But it's they look at not only the date and time that you were born and the day of the week, but also if you're a twin, they see that as special. And they also think and believe that it's a gift from God because not many people are born with twins. So I find that as an honor to carry that name. And it's very humbling for me as well.
Now
Yeah, and
that's
it's really
beautiful.
interesting. This was a ceremony. We didn't walk into a room and they said, okay, you're this and you're that. This was a ceremony where they started with what's called a libation, where we had to drink water, and then we had to drink alcohol to contrast the good, and the bad. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. Yes. And they were very after each drink, they celebrated that we were able to identify that the water was good. So therefore it meant that things would be good. But it also represented, as Mel said, they provided schnapps for us to drink, which is bitter and somewhat it's a very strong alcoholic drink. So that, as Mel said, represents the the, the troubles and the struggles and that things that we struggle with in life. So it's a representation of the balance between the two when we're born, and
Mm-hmm.
then when we pass as well.
And it was such a celebration too. Yeah, I really like that you brought that out because yeah, there was singing and dancing and welcoming and it felt like such family and community. And I mean, they were singing in the Akan language, though I didn't understand it, but definitely the feeling was one that they were really welcoming us into the family. That we are an important part of their family now.
Yes,
So important.
Well,
Yeah.
that's really important. That's really significant and important. On the wall of the room where we did this, they had the family tree. It was an amazing sight to see, starting with the oldest of the ancestors and coming down to the youngest of family members. And I think the key word here is family, because having gotten our names now, we are part of that family. And he told us, he said, look, you have a home here.
yes,
Whenever you are here, you come home,
yes,
and be with your family. And I mean, that was so uh, mind-boggling isn't the word, but it just felt so good. Like, okay, I have a family. I'm home. I have they care about me.
yes,
They care for me, and they know me because I am S.A. Tavia.
yes,
That's all I
yes,
have to do is say S.A. Tavia. They know who I am.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And they brought with them to the ceremony, they had a priest as well as the head mother, and many members of the community in the village came to watch the ceremony. And it was seemingly a very important time to participate as well as to witness the African Americans coming back home as they saw us back to the motherland, particularly to Ghana, to pay homage to our ancestors, but also to re-embrace the family that we lost during the transatlantic slave trade and slave period. So they were welcoming us back to the motherland and to our home here in Africa, and particularly Ghana. And this naming ceremony was a way to kind of solidify that we are home now and that they welcome us back home.
That's very true, because I could go to Ghana, go to this house, and I could say, okay, my name is Melanie. They won't know me. But if
Mhm.
I say I am Esse Tavia, the arms stretch out, they welcome you, there's food available, there's whatever you need. You
Yes,
are part of that family, and that's not going to change. And they know who you are because of your name. The name becomes not only important, but a critical part of your family connection.
yes, yes. And the house in which we received our names, our African names, our Ghanaian names, was a Duapasa family house
Oh,
in
yeah.
Lima, Ghana. And so, as Mel had said, anytime we come back to this area, to come back to Ghana, and we come back to Lima, people will know who we are once we give them our African names, the names that were given to us, and they'll welcome us as family.
Fun.
Robin, did you have the same feeling about the naming ceremony?
Yeah, I really did. Um, and because of the significance and the connection and the communion and the community and family I felt, it made me really think about something Diane brought up about slavery and how were stripped of our names and stripped of a lot of things, and our names were one of them, one of the first things to go. And I just think that had to have been by design, that knowing that, if we maintained our name, then people from different communities and clans and ethnicities could connect with each other. And slavery, they took that away from us. And I feel like I got it back in this ceremony.
Yeah, that's true because, as I said, if I come back to Ghana and I go to the family home and say, "Oh, I'm S.A. Tavia," they know who I am.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
so that's really that's my identification with the motherland, the family, and with each other. They know who I am. That's really important.
Yes, and I remember they also mentioned that the name, when a person learns who your name is or what your name is, they can learn what what part of the country you are from, where your family is from, your religion, and also, of course, your date of birth, and also the day in which you were born, part of the week. So it gives a whole lot of meaning and significance when you give your name in Afghan, because it speaks to who you are in a number of different ways and provides a whole number of different characteristics about you.
Well, Europeans often laugh that American names don't mean anything, which I think is true. But do you think that African Americans, I mean, we do have certain names that go through families. I mean, in my own family, my middle name is Melanese, and that name is my mother's first name, and that was given to her by her mother. I mean, I think that we do have ways that we do keep names going in families. My brother's name was Frederick Douglass. I mean, and that, of course, we know what a great man he was and an important person in Black history. So, but I think African Americans, maybe we have just innately tried to keep names alive for us. What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree because actually, I had mentioned earlier that I'm a twin, and I said I would get back to you with the significance of being a twin and the younger of the twins. And in culture, the younger twin is called Ata Kakra.
Oh,
So that name is also added to my name and the African name. But my twin sister, her, since she's the older, the elder of the twin, her name would be Ata Panya.
wow.
So we would both carry the same name, but that would be added. So again, it gives a distinction to us in terms of when we introduce ourselves as to who's the older twin and who's the younger twin. So our names would be Adwa, Nayameke, Ata, Kakra. That would be my name because I am the younger twin. And my oldest twin would be Adwa, Nayameke, Ata, Penye. And so I'll have to introduce that to her and see how she likes that.
And you're both gifts from God, right?
That's right, we're both gifts from God. I don't know if she's a gift giver. Yeah, but one of the things you had also mentioned, Robin, is that family names. My twin sister is named after my grandmother, Donna,
Oh,
and her European American name is Donna, and she's taken on a middle name named Makita, which means, yes, which has its own meaning in terms of the African name. So names do mean something because for her, she wanted a name that described who she was and how she saw herself as an artist, as an educator, and as one who embraces her African culture. So she had renamed herself in that way. So it's names do carry a lot of meaning and symbolism in our different cultures, even as African Americans.
how do you feel about that? And that she's taken on a middle name, another name, huh?
Well, actually, her name is Makita, which means Queen of Sheba.
Wow.
Yeah, so it kind of dovetails into what our given Akan name, which is gift of God, which again, like I said, I feel very, very humbled that that would be my given name. So I've always liked her name in that she found the connection and culture, very early on. She's had given herself that name since she was in her early 20s. Yeah, so many of her colleagues and friends know her as Makita. Yes, yes, so she goes by that name. And they respect her, and it means Queen of Sheba. And she's also very much an artist and an educator. So,
Mel, in your generation, how was that done? Did people take on, did they Africanize their names or use the African roots of names?
That's a very, very good question. And um, the answer is not to my knowledge. In my family, we would have alternate names. For example, my father was the oldest boy, so that he was Bubba.
Mm.
You know, my aunt was very tiny, so they called her T. And my other aunt was, kind of very smart and flashy, and they called her Babe.
Oh.
And my youngest uncle was, he was uh, like in charge of everything, but he always didn't do right. We called him Papa. So what happened was, they came with, they had real, and when I say real names, they had, English type names, but they didn't use them. Oh, that's Bubba, oh, that's Papa, that's T, that's Babe. That's how they did it. So I think that we recognized that there was a need for something else, but didn't know what and how.
yeah.
Yeah.
And usually, as you had described, Mel, in terms of how the names that we use amongst our family, African American families, it usually had still some meaning to it in terms of how we would identify that person. And so I agree that it still has that meaning, or at least it has some significance in our families. Yes. Yeah. And I'll just say also, with my sister's name, Makita, it also means greatness.
Oh,
too.
wow.
Yes,
Wow.
yes,
Amazing.
Wow.
yes.
Yeah, so the naming ceremony, I mean, the fact that there is a ceremony shows the importance of what's going on. The family is there, our friends are there, there's a prayer, there's dancing, there's food, there's respect for the fact that this person will have this name, and everyone from now on will know exactly who this person is, where they came from, and what they may become.
Yes.
Like they said, you were a hard worker.
Yeah.
Mentioned I was industrious, or the pillar of the community. I mean, just it's almost your identity.
Yes.
Is your name is your identity.
Yes. Yes. And it also shows the connection and the linkage. It continues the ancestral linkage that we all have with regards to our connection with that particular group, or for that matter, clan or family.
Okay, and I always have to bring things back to just slavery. I'm a little bit like Kenya Barris. Well, am I the only one upset about how black people have during slavery had their names stripped from us and taken away from us, and all that entailed? Am I overdoing it? That's something I should let go, because you guys haven't mentioned that at all.
No, I don't think you should let go of that. I think that's really important. And I think that the people who enslaved people knew how important the name was, that you could get back to your family, you get back to your connection. And that's why, they just spent a lot of time changing the name. You are Toby, you remember from Roots,
Yes.
you are this is you are, and if you refuse to use those names, there was severe punishment for that. No, I mean, it's really quite important what happened in slavery, and this name was that's a key, and they knew that was a key, and perhaps I don't know if we knew it or didn't know it, but they knew it was a key, and they knew that had to change. Otherwise, why not just call this person Essie or Kofi or whatever? They didn't want that because they know that would connect you with your culture, with your roots, and with your family.
Yeah, and I would agree with you, Mel, because as we learned today, as we went through the castle in Alima today, we learned that many of the slaves were given, or the mulatto children, the children of the master, was giving the names of the master.
Mm-hmm.
So many of their descendants still carry the Dutch or Portuguese or British names, which again is a stamp to show that these were the children of the master, and for that matter, part of that lineage. So again, the name, is a way of showing, that you were part of their property, of that European particular culture, and for that matter, that ethnicity. And again, it strips us from our own identity. It's another way of showing chattel, and that you belong, and that you no longer own your own name, but part of the master, that you're part of the master's clan now.
Well, I've just about finished my espresso, but I'm enjoying this real talks. I think we're really getting real with this. I'm going to get a little bit more real with this last question, because I think a lot of this was about names had to do with the missionaries, too, the missionary influence. And so we end up with a lot of the biblical names, from, I don't want to say New Testament, but no, a lot of names from the Bible. I think that the missionaries, forced on African Americans, on Africans. Is that something to just let go of too, or do you think that that influence was minimal?
Well, I think that influence was great, but I think also the influence of the British and the Portuguese. You find a lot of black people with names of queens. Josephine, Elizabeth, Albert, things, names like that. So I think that was also a part of it, and I agree with you. Israel, John, and
James,
James. All of these names
Paul.
from Paul, from the missionary Christian community. So that was part of it. There was a conspiracy to, our names mean something and connect us back to our families, our ancestors. They knew that, and so they had to break that. And they spent a lot of time doing it, still doing it. But we have to kind of reject that and get back to our roots. That's what this is, a real talk.
Yeah.
This is real talk here.
And how do we do that? How do we get back to our roots? Do we do like what your sister did and my cousins and some other people too? Take on an African name. Or like we did, go back to these naming ceremonies. What do we do? Yeah.
I think we do the naming ceremony. I think that's important, because I think it's any other ceremony is very important. Like when you get married, the marriage ceremony, even ceremonies surrounding death, important events, things like that. So I think a ceremony kind of cements the importance of what's happening here. Mm-hmm. So a naming ceremony, I think, is really something that everyone should go through, even if you have to do your own. Wherever you are, you may be not able to come to Africa for whatever reason, but if you can come, get your name. If you can't come, there's a way to do it there too.
Yeah, and I think that's so important in terms of reclaiming our sense of identity and sense of worth and sense of confidence and determination, self-determination, is that we take back our names and implore and institute in our communities, when the babies are born. We don't necessarily have to follow the the Ghanaian and Akan tradition. But as Mel had mentioned, just as when babies are baptized or when they get consecrated, or for that matter, when they are circumcised for the male, it's a big ceremony, and so in that sense, if we ensure that we start finding ways to kind of reconnect with our identity, and I think it will go a long way with establishing a sense of self, a self-worth, self-identity, self-image. Because as we've spoken and talked about, the name carries a lot of meaning, a lot of symbolism, a lot of connection, a lot of roots, a lot of belongingness. And all of that is missing in our communities. And it's so important in helping to bring young children up to know, so that they know where they come from, who they are, what their purpose in life is, what ways in which they can contribute to the family and to the community. So in that regard, it gives them a sense of purpose and direction when they are given a name that means something, that has a meaning, and it has lineage and a link to their roots and their ancestors, as well as to their culture. I think it could go a long way in terms of building the psychological health and mental health of our community if we reinstituted a naming ceremony when our children are born, but also in ways in which those of us who are older and we're no longer children, in which we can embrace that part of ourselves and claim back our sense of who we are as a people and where our roots are and lay across the Atlantic, so that we can again have and know that our roots are here in the motherland.
Wow. Wow, you guys really got real tonight, and this has been a fantastic discussion, and we had just a fantastic experience and then a great discussion around it. Yeah, and thank you so much for this real talk, a sante sana to both of you. And well, I have finished my espresso, and I think we have a lot to think about, and I'm just feeling really good, hard worker, so I feel a lot of pride in that. So thanks, everybody.
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking about my new name. So you call me Essie. I know my name. I won't respond to any other name.
And I'll have to share my new name as well as my twin sister's new name with her, so that she can add it to her given name, and that it'll give us another way in which we could connect. But she can also brag about the fact that she's older than me.
Well, great discussion. Thank you all again, and we'll be back for another Real Talk next month.
Real talk.
Real talk.
We hope that you enjoyed this show and learned a bit about the importance of having a name, how Black people have been deprived of their names, the effect of stripping the names from people, and what you can do about it. Many Black people have lost their African names and thus their African roots and connections. Worse still, many Black people don't even know what they'd lost when they were stripped of their names during slavery. Yes, that's right. It comes back to slavery, and it is still affecting us today. Of course, people can decide their own names today, but it's interesting how many people don't understand the importance of a name and how it connects you to something much bigger than yourself. Actually, did you know that having a name is a human right? It's protected in the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. So what does your name mean to you? Are you proud of your name? Why don't you, we would love for you to, write to us and let us know your thoughts about names in general or your name in particular. We really hope that you enjoyed this show. And if you're one of the millions of people of the African diaspora, you might want to consider visiting Ghana and participating in a naming ceremony. No pressure or judgment, just throwing it out there. And we would love to hear about your experiences if you've already done a naming ceremony. Asante Sana for coming through today, community, for today's Real Talk show. We hope that you'll join us on Instagram at Espresso Talk Today, Facebook at Espresso Talk Today podcast show, and soon on Clubhouse at my name, Robin Lofton. I'm already there, so send me a wave sometime. Another big Asante Sana to Mel and Diane for sharing their thoughts and insights on this Real Talk show. They really kept it real, and I'm so grateful to them for all that they do to uplift this show and enrich my life. Thanks, sisters. See you next time at Espresso Talk Today. And remember, y'all, now more than ever, soul, strength, and reparations. Ashe.